Good evening, it's 6:30 p.m. Today is Monday, September 23rd, and I am now officially calling the Winton City School District Board of Education meeting to order. Can you please join me in the pledge of allegiance? Item on the agenda is 1.03, Mr. King, will you call the roll?
Dr. Johnson.
Present.
Mrs. Knight.
Present.
Mr. Smith. Mr. Steelman. Present. Mrs. Bryant.
Present. The next item on the agenda is Sister Honors Recognition Guest and Introductions. Superintendent Denny, you have the floor.
Thank you, President Bryant, and good evening, everyone. Good evening, Board. So, 2.01 District Honors Recognitions, Gifts, and Requests and Introductions. We have a lot to be proud of, a lot to celebrate, and this is a chance for us to do that. We have some wonderful individuals to be able to highlight and recognize this evening, so we'd like to go ahead and get to that. The first recognition and award that we'd like to present this evening and celebrate is actually a new award. Many of you know our district is known for academics as well as athletics, but we're also known for fine arts. And so recognizing that, celebrating that is something we'd also like to make sure that we spend some time and effort and energy doing. So this is the first of the Board of Education Fine Arts Student of the Month Award. To be nominated for the Horace Mann, it's also sponsored by Horace Mann, we'll get to that in just a moment. But to be nominated for the Horace Mann Fine Arts Student of the Month Award, students must, 1, maintain an academic standard of a 3.0 GPA or above in the previous quarter, show respect for directors, fellow ensemble members, contest adjudicators, teachers, other students, and family, show enthusiasm and a positive attitude, display commitment to rehearsals, concerts, and personal skill development, demonstrate honesty and integrity, and finally have high moral character. The Horace Mann Fine Arts Student of the Month Award is sponsored by the Horace Mann Educators Corporation, a business partner of Winton City Schools. Students who are so honored will receive a Chipotle gift card. And so our first nominee for the Fine Arts Student of the Month is Sean Daniels. All right, I was warned of this. Sean might not be able to make it this evening. Can we give him a round of applause? Being the diligent, responsible lawyer that he is, we were told he might have to work this evening and possibly could not make it, so we're going to catch up with him next month. But I'd like to read this briefly if I could, because it's a wonderful testament to the young man and what he represents. So, coming in with a 3.4 GPA, Ms. Ashbrook wanted to nominate Sean Daniels for the first Board of Education Fine Arts Student of the Month Award and recognition. Sean is a gifted musician. He is currently involved in marching band as the drumline section leader, sings in varsity ensemble and a cappella, performs with indoor drumline, and also plays flute and bassoon during concert season. Sean is currently taking music theory as he plans on doing music in college. Sean is involved in the Tri-M Music Honor Society, and last year he played Sebastian in Little Mermaid. This year he's arranged a variety of stand tunes for the marching band to play, and the band loves them. He has been very involved in teaching them to the group. He is currently preparing to audition for Rhythm X, an intense indoor percussion group based in Dayton. He hopes to attend North Carolina A&T, majoring in music performance and education. So that is Sean Daniels. We look forward to catching up with Sean next month. All right, the next recipient or recognition this evening is the Kiwanis Characters Key Award for Responsibility. So students are selected for the Kiwanis Characters Key Responsibility Award based on the following description. Responsibility means following through, thinking before you act, doing a task to the very best of your ability when you said you would do it, being able to count on you and your work. The Kiwanis Characters Key Responsibility Award is sponsored by the Green Hills Forest Park Kiwanis Club, a partner of Winton City Schools. Daniel will receive a La Rosa's gift card as part of this award. So this time, we would like to recognize student Daniel Gutierrez Linez. Mr. Spielman can present this award to you, Daniel. I'd like to read a little bit about you, Daniel, while you stand there, because we're very proud of you. So Mr. Bauer, Daniel's principal, writes, Daniel is not just a student, he is a great friend to everyone around him. He consistently follows directions and goes above and beyond to help his classmates. His intelligence shines through in everything he does. He is always reliable, making him an invaluable asset to our learning environment. What truly sets Daniel apart is his unwavering respect, responsibility, and trustworthiness from the very first day of school. He embodies the qualities of a role model, inspiring us all to strive for excellence. Our classroom is better because Daniel is a part of it, and I am so grateful to have him as a student. When you look up the definition of responsibility in the dictionary, we're pretty sure you're going to see Daniel's picture right there. We love you, Daniel. Daniel, did you bring anybody with you this evening? Do you have some family here tonight?
Yes.
Family, if you'd like to come up too, we'd love to have you. Come on up for the photo. Please join us up here if you would. Mr. Bauer, we probably need you up here as well, so
Yeah.
please join the principal. The more the merrier. Yeah, sure.
Mr. Denny, is it all right if I join as well?
Yes, that's the one that's good. Dave, thank you so
Oh,
much.
definitely.
Yeah.
Mr. Bell, here's the next one. All right, we're going to go ahead and announce the next Kiwanis Student of the Month honoree. We also have the privilege and honor this evening of recognizing the Kiwanis Student of the Month Award. This is sponsored by the Greenhouse Forest Park Kiwanis Club, a partner of Winton City Schools. This student will receive a gift card to Roses as a part of their award and recognition. The September Kiwanis Student of the Month is Karen Cruz Aparicio, 12th grade. Will you come up for a picture? Family, come on up. I'd love to read some great things about Karen while you're coming up. We'd like to celebrate her. Karen is a senior who has been a model student throughout high school. She has earned near perfect grades in the most demanding course load possible. Karen's hard work was rewarded when she was accepted into Miami University Early College Academy. She has been attending college full-time since the beginning of 11th grade, and she has earned only one B and the rest all A's as a college student. Karen's efforts have not gone unnoticed, as there's a lot more, folks. There's a lot to brag about here. Karen's efforts have not gone unnoticed, as she was just awarded the Governor's Merit Scholarship worth $20,000. Miami University has tutoring centers where college students can go get assistance in their courses. One of these is the Writing Center, where they may help with writing their papers. This August, Karen applied for and received a job as a college writing tutor. Wow. That means our Karen, who just turned 17, will be helping college adults with their course papers. On top of her stellar academics, Karen is a young entrepreneur as well. Karen started her own bakery business out of her own home. She specializes in Hispanic treats and sweets. Being bilingual, Karen provides this important service to the community of people who may have trouble communicating at other local bakeries. The Winwoods family could not be more proud of Karen and her accomplishments. She embodies everything we want to see in our students. She is truly a deserving Winwoods Warrior Student of the Month. Congratulations.
writing center is a big deal at Miami.
Writing Center is a big deal at Miami, as Mr. Bell just pointed out. Thanks for adding that, Mr. Bell. The next honoree is the September 2024 Skyline Student Athlete of the Month. To be nominated for the Skyline Student Athlete of the Month, students must, 1, maintain an academic standard of a 3.0 GPA or above in the previous quarter, show respect for coaches, teammates, officials, teachers, and other students and family, show enthusiasm and a positive attitude, display commitment to practice, games, and personal skill development, demonstrate honesty and by playing by the rules, and finally have high moral character. The Skyline Student Athlete of the Month Award is sponsored by the Forest Park Skyline Chili Restaurant, a business partner of Winton City Schools. Student athletes who are honored receive a Skyline gift card. And we're proud at this point to celebrate 2024 September Skyline Student Athlete of the Month, Kyle Shook, 11th grade golf. Interesting fact, Kyle, right now as we speak, is golfing. There was a match this evening, so he wasn't able to make it, but we'll make sure we get this to him and hopefully try to catch up with him next month. Finally, we have the May 2024 Skyline Teacher of the Month. We're able to finally catch up at this point. We're just thrilled that she could join us this evening. The Skyline Teacher of the Month is for the following criteria. 1, excellence in the classroom. This is by using instructional practices that support higher academic achievement. Motivation, by encouraging and motivating students to surpass their expectations, both academically and socially. Leadership, by having a positive attitude with students, parents, colleagues, and community. Creativity and imagination, by demonstrating creativity in teaching in a way that inspires students to learn. Dedication, by showing excellent attendance, punctuality, and overall dependability. Communication, by communicating effectively to the classrooms, parents, colleagues, and beyond. The Skyline Teacher of the Month Award is sponsored by the Forest Park Skyline Chili Restaurant, a business partner of Winton City Schools, and teachers who are so honored receive a Skyline Chili gift card. If we could actually, at this point, ask Ms. Backschneider to come up and join us, we would be delighted. Mr. Ballard as well. Did you bring anything else with you this evening? You did? Yeah. I didn't come up as well. We're happy he's here. I'd like to take a moment here and brag on Ms. Backschneider as well, but go ahead and the photo up. If you would all remain up here, please. While we go ahead and read some of these highlights. Principal Jake Bauer says the following about Ms. Backschneider. The ECCC is proud to nominate Haley Backschneider as our Skyline Teacher of the Month. Haley is truly a leader in our building. She has taken charge of our Positive Behavioral Intervention Support Team, or PBIS team, and she is actively pursuing bronze status for our building, which is a pretty good achievement. It's a pretty meaningful achievement. Haley is also on the Literacy Adoption Committee, which involves many hours of research and collaboration. She serves as a grade level team lead and is a member of our building leadership team, or BLT. Haley works with all of her colleagues, providing support, resources, and innovative ideas. In only her 30 years as a teacher, she has made a lasting impact on our building as well as her students. We are very lucky to have a teacher like Ms. Haley Backschneider in our building. Congratulations and thank you, Haley, for all you do.
Can I just say, Ms. Haley, obviously you're doing a great job. That's one of your students that also got an award.
And that concludes the honors, recognitions, and awards for this evening.
Thank you, Mr. President. The next item on the agenda is 3.01 public comments. Mr. Senior Liaison public comments. Moving on, the next item is 4.01 recess. I'll take the 5-minute recess. Next item on the agenda is 5.01. We have a representative from Winton Teachers Association. 5.02, OC representative.
Madam Board President, board members, Superintendent Denny, OC Sisters and Brothers that's watching from home, community members, and administrative staff. It is my honor and pleasure to say this is my last board meeting. I'll be in the district. But I have passed the torch on to a younger generation. I would like to introduce you to our current president, or excuse me, our future president, Major Thomas, and our future vice president, Dante. Served my sisters and brothers in the past, and again, I will miss you all. You want to say something, Kim?
Are you Major or
Yes.
Dante? You're Major and you're Dante. Okay.
I was born and raised in Winwood School District. I raised my kids in the school district, so I just want to make Winwood the best of it.
Welcome.
Thank
Thank
you.
you.
Appreciate that.
Thank you. And Ms. Gordon, Ferguson Gordon, thank you so much for your service.
You're
We
welcome.
appreciate you
You're
very
welcome.
much.
Thank you. I wasn't expecting that.
No,
Maybe
Marty,
now?
you left us speechless.
I know.
I'll never speechless.
All right, next item on the agenda is approval of minutes, 6.01. To waive the reading of the minutes. Board, motion is in order.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to waive the reading of the minutes for the following meetings: the regular meeting for August 26, 2024, and the regular meeting for September the 9th, 2024.
And I'll second that.
Thank you. It's been motioned and second. Any discussion or questions? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, will you call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Knight?
Aye.
Mr. Spielman?
Aye.
Mrs. Connor?
Aye. That vote passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda is 6.02 to approve the minutes as presented.
Board, I'll make a motion to approve the minutes as presented. I'll second it.
Motion is second, Dr. Thompson.
Motion is second. Any questions?
Seeing none, anyone will call the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Knight?
Aye.
Mr. Spielman?
Aye.
Mrs. Bryant?
Aye. That vote passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda is treasurer report, 7.01 financial statements for August 2024. Mr. Seymour, you have the floor.
Board, you have the financial statements before you. The total year-to-date revenues for the general fund were at $17.4 million, with our month-to-date at $5.1 million. For the month-to-date, we got approximately $2 million in the state foundation and approximately $2.5 million in real estate taxes. The following pages show the general fund expenditures by object and then by function. Our total year-to-date expenditures in the general fund are $9.9 million. Also, you have the total unencumbered balance for all funds as of October 31st, which is $23.8 million, and each fund provided for.
Mr. Seymour.
Board, I'll make a motion to review the financial statements as presented on the call.
One second. Next item on the agenda is 8.01 investments for August 2024. Mr. Seymour, you have the floor.
Yes, Board, we had approximately $39 million investments for the month of July, of which we earned $155,931. Of that, the general fund was $139,725, and our building funds $16,206.
Move we approve the investment report presented.
I'll second it. Any questions, items for discussion? Mr. Seymour, call the roll.
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Knight?
Aye.
Mr. Spearman?
Aye.
Ms. Bryant?
Aye. That vote passes unanimously. Moving on, next item on the agenda is 8.02.
Yes, or before you have the appropriations for fiscal year 2025. And I'm going to Before you vote on the resolution, I thought I would just do a short presentation. Obviously, the appropriations are by fund type. We have our general fund, which is our major fund, where we have all the discretion. We have special revenue funds, which are for a specific purpose, which are mostly state and federal funds. We have debt service funds, which is to pay off our bonded debt in our new buildings. We have capital project funds, which are permanent improvement and classroom facilities. And then all other funds, which are food service, which is the major fund of the other funds. And you can see the amounts up there. Our major special revenue funds are auxiliary services, which is the support of our John Paul II for $482,930. Our other one is IDEA, Special Education Federal Grant, and Title I Disadvantaged Students, 1.4 million. Our other major funds are Improvement Fund, 1.1 million. Debt service of 3.2 million. Building funds currently have appropriation of 1.8 million left. And of course, our food service at 3.7 million. It's a major fund where the district spends most of their discretion, where they fund most of their employees and all of their regular expenses, is the general fund. So in order to kind of give you a background of where the funds come from to support the general fund appropriations, we have local taxes and rollback, which is roughly 48% of our revenue. Our state foundation is now edging up to 45% of our revenue. We have investments of 1.95, other local income, and then other state and federal things. Our property taxes are 26.1 million. Homestead and rollback, which is now called state support of local taxes. They changed that terminology. 2.7 million. Interest income estimated at 1.3 million. Let's hope the feds don't keep pushing that rate down for a while. Other local receipts of 1.5 million. Our state foundation at 27.3 million. And other state and federal income of 1.2 million. As you know, we went through a major reappraisal last year, and this year we are collecting on that reappraisal. And our total valuation district-wide went up $196 million, from $564 million to $760 million. So now our total district valuation is $759,697,230. Our voted millage is 88.37 mils, but our current effective millage for our residential property tax only is at 38.41. So we had a major reduction of our effective millage as a result of the increase in our total valuation. Our general fund now is at 32.85 million mils. Apologies. Permanent improvement is at 1.06. Permanent improvement was voted in at 2 mils, and it currently is collecting at 1.06. That's how the value changed the collection. And our bond retirement is at 4.5. And when we voted our bond retirement in 2016, it was 6.95 mils, and the increased value has reduced that down to 4.5 mils. So currently our residential value from 22 to 23, I'm showing that it was from 411 million, it went up to 584 million. For that, there's that increase of 172 million. And then on the bottom it shows that the effective millage for 23 was at 44.17 and reduced down for this year's collections to 32.85 mils. Winton only receives an increase on the value on the 4.65 mils of inside millage, and that annual increase is approximately $900,000 on a calendar year. We approximately received half of that last year, and then the remaining of it this fiscal year, because our tax years don't coincide with fiscal year. So our total real estate taxes generated by the current rates and values are approximately $26.1 million, and homestead and rollback and exemptions would be approximately $2.7 million, which is reimbursed by the state. Our state funding formula, which we're currently in the 4th year of, our state foundation, which is unrestricted, will be at $20.9 million. Our disadvantaged impact pupil aid would be at $1.9 million. Gifted, $160,000. English learners, $610,000. Student wellness and success, $730,000. Career and technical, $18,000. Transportation, $1.8 million. Special education transportation, $735,000. And preschool, $345,000. For a total state support of $27,278,000. This is based on current data currently submitted to ODE and Workforce. As you know, we discussed the District 1 to the community eligibility provision, which will increase our disadvantaged pupil impact aid, and we're estimating that will be approximately $900,000 increase in disadvantaged pupil impact aid. That will be reflected once we get the EMIS data submitted in October, and I will bring that and update the revenue on the 5-year forecast once that data is submitted. Currently, we're in the 4th year of the fair share funding formula, or we're at 66.67% of the phase-in period. The fair share funding formula will be fully phased in fiscal year 2027. Other local receipts are at $1.5 million. Most of that is tuition from other districts of $1.2 million. Our rental facilities is down to $35,000. As you know, we sold our major rental income facility to Hamilton County Board of Education. And they used to rent that from us for their program. Revenue in lieu of taxes approximately $100,000. That is our anticipated TIF proceeds for tax increment financing programs. And then all other revenue of $215,000. And a lot of that other local $215,000 is indirect costs from state and federal programs, fees, and administration of John Paul II. And lots of little small receipts of all kinds of sorts of things. Other state and federal receipts are $1.1. Medicaid reimbursement approximately $450,000. Catastrophic aid approximately $450,000. Catastrophic aid is that reimbursement we get for special ed students, which surpass a threshold. We must spend at least $32,800 on them, and then we get partial reimbursement for the excess costs over that. And then we also have E-rate and casino proceeds of $260,000. Our total appropriations for FY25 will be at $64,051,050. Our salaries are estimated to be $35 million. Benefits of $12.4 million. Purchase services, $12.3 million. Purchase services are big categories are tuition, utilities, custodial services, building maintenance, property insurance, and transportation services for special ed needs. Supplies and materials at $2.7 million. Capital outlay and equipment, $362,000. And other expenditures of $857,000. The other expenditures mostly make up the property tax collections from the Hamilton County Auditor and liability insurance of the Board of Education. So for fiscal year '24, I wanted to share what versus actual expenditures from last year. Last year we appropriated $59 million and actually spent $56.8 million and had an appropriated savings of approximately $2.2 million or 3.8%. And we also increased our operating cash balance last year by $1.7 million. In other words, we took in $1.7 million more than we spent last year. And our total expenditures, just to compare, we kind of leveled out for 19, 20, and 21. 22 went down slightly, and then 23 went back up, and then of course 24 has increased for our budgeted, that's our budget anticipated expenditures. I'm sure we won't spend all of that, and I'll keep you posted as we progress each month and share that with you. Our salaries and benefits, I've included all the negotiated adjustments. All staffing reallocations are included, and we also have healthcare projected at 7.5% for this year. So basically, how are the dollars totally spent? Instruction is $45.8 million, or 71 cents of every dollar we spend is right in the classroom. And you add our extracurricular program to that of $1.1 million of 2%. So 73% cents of every dollar is actually in the classroom. And then operations are 27%, of which administration is 8%, maintenance is 4.7%, and transportation is 4.4%. So for the summary, the beginning balance of the general fund is $18.8 million. We are anticipating receipts of $60.2, which will be adjusted once we submit our updated data on free and reduced. Our total expenditures appropriated is $64 million, with an estimated ending cash balance of $15 million. And then if you have any questions, I'll be trying to answer those for you.
Thank you, Mr. Seymour. Board of motions and others.
I move we approve the permanent appropriations for fiscal year 2024-2025 as presented.
I'll second that.
There's a motion and a second. Now the questions.
So just the capital projects funds of 3.3 on page 2, or the building funds on page 4 of 1.8, what are they?
Capital project funds also includes permanent improvement, and the which page are you? Permanent improvement and the building funds are separate, but they're added together for capital project funds.
Okay. So the building funds is improvements for buildings?
The building fund is what is the residual of what's still left in our construction of our new buildings.
Okay.
We still have funds available.
Okay.
And so we appropriate those, and we still have payments left on them.
But they would still have to be, that money would still have to be spent on building improvements?
Yes, it would.
Okay.
Yes.
Thank you.
Bear in mind, some of that will go back to the state. We have some local share funds here. We also have local share interest here. And once we close the project, those funds will be returned to the state.
I do have a question. So on slide 5, where we're looking at the 45% of the state foundation money, is this the money that if the state takes this money away to give to vouchers for private schools or religious schools, is this the money that will be impacted this
No,
year?
as you recall, the district used to receive all those funds, and then it was a flow through, and that stopped 2 years ago. The reason that we're part of the voucher joinder resolution is that as that pot of money for vouchers grows, it hurts the funds that are left to appropriate for schools in funding the fair share formula, and we're only at 66% funding currently. So the fear is that they will divert funds for vouchers instead of public schools, and that's why we remain a member of that coalition.
Thank you for that. And just for the public, that is happening. Now, there was an article that was produced by Ohio Capital Journal talking about that a lot of Ohio's funding, they're diverting it to primarily schools of religious background schools using taxpayer dollars. So we know how hard things can be, how much every time we say we have to have a levy that people go, I don't want to, no more money, don't increase my taxes. But now the tax dollars are not going to educate the kids in your local community the way you think. We're not, the public schools are not getting the funds in the same way. So thank you for clarifying that for the public. Any question? Just okay. Okay. All right. No more questions, Mr. Seymour. Thank you for that thorough report. Can you call the roll?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Knighton?
Aye.
Mr. Spielman?
Aye.
Ms. Bryant?
Aye. That vote passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda is 8.03. Mr. Seymour, you have the floor.
Yes, the IRS increased, we have a high deductible health plan here, I should start out that way. We have a high deductible health plan in the district that we offer to our employees. Our administration and our exempt employees do not have an option, but our employees have an option of a high deductible plan and a PPO. The high deductible plan is much more economical for the board when the employee picks that due to the cost of each plan because of the high deductible. But to maintain a high deductible plan, the IRS sets a threshold that deductible has to be. And our district has been at $3,250 for a single person and $6,500 for a family plan. And you have to pay that out of pocket before the insurance company picks up the payments. Well, the IRS maintained an increase in that threshold for this past year, and it went from $3,250 to $3,300, and from $6,500 to $6,600. So we were done with negotiations, and we met with both associations, OEA, WWTA, and OPSI, and we are recommending that to have the board pay that increased deductible to their health savings account. So that would be $50 for every single plan, an additional $50, and an additional $100 for every family plan that we have. And that holds the employee harmless for the deductible. But it is something that we want to maintain the IRS regulations, and I would go into the details why. We want to make sure that we maintain a credible, high deductible health care plan in the eyes of the IRS for all of our employees.
Thank you, Mr. Seymour. Board?
I'll make a motion to approve the employee contribution to the health savings account from $1,137 to $1,187, which is a $50 difference for a single plan, and from $2,925 to $3,025, $100 difference for a family plan.
I'll second it. The motion in second. Any questions?
I just have one question. Mr. Seymour, we would only incur a cost when somebody reaches the maximum of the account, correct? Or
No,
is that, it's a health savings account, so we put that in?
The deposits into the health savings account are done in January.
Okay.
And those deposits go in on January 15th payroll.
Yeah, I'm sorry, I saw it was an HSA.
That's okay.
No.
But I want everybody to keep in mind that the employee pays $6,600 out of pocket
Right.
before insurance picks up on that program, unlike a PPO or a
Okay. Thank you.
Any questions?
Not necessarily a question, but I think doing something like this kind of shows that the employees that we can, honor, respect, want them to be here, and that's just kind of an added benefit. So I think it's, something that we should definitely support.
Thank you, Dr. Thank you. Thank you.
Ready?
Yes.
Dr. Johnson,
Aye.
Ms. Knighton,
Aye.
Mr. Spielman,
Aye.
Ms. Bryant.
Aye. That vote passes unanimously.
Thank you.
Thank you. The next item on the agenda is reports of the superintendent. School reports 9.01. Superintendent Denton, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. So 9.01 school reports, I believe you should have before you a summary of upcoming school events that summarizes from now until next board meeting in the end of October. Just some highlights to point out, not to simply read it, it's actually jam-packed full of activities. October is a busy month and a great month here in education and in Winton Woods. So, but just to point out, Monday, September 30th, 1 week from now, is no students. It's a professional development day that day, next Monday, so it would be no students, but staff would be reporting, teachers reporting. We also have a Warrior We Thrive pantry distribution at Forest Chapel Church coming up on the October 3rd. We have senior night girls volleyball versus Northwest on Wednesday, October 9th, so something to check out for sure. Next home football game is against West Claremont at Charlie Frederick Stadium on October 11th. We have a high school orchestra concert coming up on Monday the 14th, as well as a work session here for the board. Wednesday the 16th is No School Records Day. And then we have a fall break this year, which is October 17th and 18th, so we appreciate that and look forward to that for our students, families, staff, and community. High school band performs in the Blake Parade, so that's exciting. That's going to be great to see. And then the second quarter starts October 21st, and then our next, then senior night home football, varsity home football is Friday the 25th at Charlie Frederick Stadium, and then of course our next board meeting on the 28th. That concludes the report.
I just looking at this, I'm like, I'm tired already. Well, there's a lot of activity. We're a busy,
a lot
busy
going on.
district. Yes, there
It's all
is.
good stuff.
Thank you so much for that. Next item on the agenda is 9.02 Student Achievement Report. Superintendent Ding.
Yeah, thank you again, Ms. Bryant. So this is a report just to share with the board, with our public, just in the spirit of keeping people informed, and this is where we are. So we're going to go ahead and have an informational report shared with us by two of our executive team members. That is Dr. Adrian Martin, Executive Director of Teaching and Learning Pre-K 6, and also Dr. Tamara Ragland, Executive Director of Teaching and Learning 7-12. You have the floor.
Thank you, Mr. Denny, and good evening, everyone. Tonight, we're going to go over the local report card for the 2024 school year, and we'll kind of take a deep dive into the various components of the report card so you can have an idea of what and how it's being calculated. Okay, so next slide, please. The report card actually has 6 components and an overall rating. When we think of achievement, this component represents whether students' performance on state tests have met the threshold and how well students perform on tests overall. The measures for this particular component includes performance index as well as the performance indicator. For the progress component, which is the component 2, it's the overall value added progress measure. When we think of the term value added, we're looking at a statistical analysis used to measure whether or not and how the students perform impacts the district, the school, and or the teachers in academic growth. So we're looking to see, are our students growing? When we look at the early literacy component of the report card, it measures reading improvement and proficiency for students in kindergarten through 3rd grade. This component includes 3 different measures. We have proficiency in third grade reading, promotion to fourth grade, improving K-3 literacy. The next component of the report card, which is actually the gap closing component, it measures gifted performance, the English language proficiency, improvement indicator, graduation by student groups, and ELA math achievement by student groups as well as growth. The graduation component of the report card looks at 4-year cohort data as well as 5-year. And then the last one, which is college career and workforce and military readiness, and this component actually has 11 different measures to kind of build that final overall rating. Next slide. The way that the report card is structured, it has overall ratings as well as component ratings. We hit the most we can get in each of our components is 5 stars. 5 stars means that we significantly exceed state standards. 4 stars exceed state standards. 3 stars, we meet the state standard. And 2 stars needs support to meet the state standards. 1 star means we need significant support to meet the state standard. One caveat to this particular rating is the overall rating can have a half a star, but the component ratings are whole stars. So if you notice when we get to the next slide, it'll actually, you can put the next slide. Our overall rating for Winton City Schools is a 2.5 rating, and that still means that we need a little support to meet the state standards. So if you look at the report card in achievement, we got a 2-star, progress, a 2-star, gap closing, a 3-star, graduation, we received a 3-star, in early literacy, a 1-star, and the college career, workforce, and military readiness component is not rated. If you can turn to the next one. When we look at achievement, the achievement, and this is how the performance index is calculated for the percentage. So when we look at the possible index score, that 60.6% is actually a combination of various levels of achievement for various tests for the entire district. It's divided by the maximum district performance index score, which is 109.3, which gives us the 55.5%, which if you look at the key in the corner, that falls within the scope of 2 stars for the district. And when we look at performance index, the way that the points are calculated and assigned are as follows. 0.0 points is untested, limited is 0.3, basic is 0.6, proficient is 1.0, accomplished is 1.1, advanced is 1.2, and advanced plus is 1.3. And the way that those numbers come up again with the 60.6% is it gives the amount of students and the percentage of students that actually score within the scope of those proficient levels. I'm going to turn it over to Dr. Ragland for the next few slides.
So again, our performance index, you see it detailed here, and so now you see each one of these achievement levels. You see the percent of students who scored at each achievement level, and it is multiplied by the weight for each level, and that's how you receive points. So for example, we have 1.2% of our students who were untested and unfortunately received no points, and therefore 0.0.
On the other end, we have Advanced Plus, we have 0.1 or 10th of our students who scored at this level, and that was the maximum weight of 1.3. What we see here is that we want to score proficient or higher, and so proficient would get a weight of 1.0. But each one of these weights multiplied by its percent of students gives us points received. We add those points together, and that's how we arrive at the 60.6. And that would then be divided by our maximum, which then gives us our percentage and therefore our rating and stars. Okay, if we look at the achievement component for elementary, it actually calculates grades 3, 4, 5, and 6. If you look at last year's graph, we at ELA for third grade was 31.4% proficient. In third grade for this year, 29.8% proficient. Fourth grade was 41.5% proficient last year. This year, 46.1%. That a little growth there. Fifth grade ELA was 38.9% proficient. This year, or the 23-24 school year, is 55.6% proficient. That's growth, and we're excited about that. We have sixth grade, that's 29.6%, and for last year, which is the 22-23 school year, and this year is 32.0%, which is an increase. So for math, last year, third grade math was 28.9% proficient. This year, or the 23-24 school year, 29.1% proficient. Fourth grade math was 60.1% proficient last year, and this year, a little dip, is 52.4% proficient. Fifth grade math last year was 22, or the 22-23 school year, 22.2% proficient. It increased to 31.3% proficient for the 23-24 school year. Sixth grade math was 20.4% proficient, and sixth grade math for the 23-24 school year was 17.2% proficient. If we look at our science, which is fifth grade, and that's the tested grade only for elementary for science, the 22-23 school year was 32.5% proficient. We had an increase to 34.7% increase in proficiency. Continuing on with achievement. In ELA, 7th grade, in the 22-23 year, we had 42% proficiency, and last year we had 32% proficiency. 8th grade was 32.2 in 22-23. 8th grade last year, I did 16.9. Then we do not have a 9th grade English Language Arts test, but we do have 10th grade. So 22-23 was 44.8%. Last year, 42.3%. With math in 7th grade, we are at 4.8% in 22-23, a slight increase for the 23-24 to 7%. 8th grade was 24.1% in 22-23. 8th grade last year was 19.1. 9th grade, 22-23 is 29%. And 9th grade, I might add, is actually Algebra 1. And so last year, Algebra 1 scored an increase of 36.8%. 10th grade was 8.6%. That is actually geometry. 10th grade last year was 8.3% for 23-24. We have 8th grade science is the tested grade. That was 27.8% for 22-23. Last year it was 23.7%. 10th grade is actually biology. In 22-23, they scored 38.7% proficient. Last year they were 33.9% proficient. Social studies is tested only in 10th and 11th grade. So 10th grade social studies is actually American history. In 22-23, it was 49% proficient. Last year, 42.3% proficient. 11th grade is actually American government. It was 53.4% proficient in 22-23, a slight increase last year to 54.4% proficient. The next component of the report card is the progress, which is the growth that our students made, expected growth, that is, over the scope of a school year. And what you see on this particular graph is identifying where the different grade levels actually either hit that target, exceeded that target, or met that target. So for elementary, 4th grade ELA, it's green, which means that there's evidence that we met the student growth as expected. For 4th grade math, we met the expected growth as expected. No, actually, we significantly exceeded. I looked at the wrong bar. So let's go back. Let's look at 4th grade. 4th grade actually is significant evidence that we exceeded the expected growth. So that's celebratory for 4th grade ELA and 4th grade math. For 5th grade, that's where we met the expected growth for ELA for 5th grade. And then if we look at the 5th grade math, we know that there is a significant evidence that the district didn't necessarily need it. So we know that we have something to work on as it relates to making sure our students get what they need, the supports, the interventions, and making sure that we provide them all the tools to be successful. If you look at 6th grade, the ELA showed significant evidence that the district exceeded student growth expectations by a larger magnitude. And 6th grade math showed evidence that we met student growth expectations. So we know that we are growing our kids. We know that we have to kind of do a little bit more to get them where they need to be so that they not only grow, but they also achieve. Continuing on, looking at the progress for secondary, 7th grade, English language arts, as well as math, showed significant growth that the district fell short of expectations. So we have work to do there. We know this. 8th grade, on the other hand, met student growth expectations in both English language arts and math. 9th grade, which is Algebra 1, showed significant evidence that the district exceeded student growth expectations. 10th grade, English language arts, showed significant evidence that the district exceeded student growth expectations by a larger magnitude. Geometry showed that we met student growth expectations. American history, on the other hand, we fell short of student growth expectations, and so we have some work to do there. 11th grade, American government showed significant evidence that the district exceeded student growth expectations by a larger magnitude. Okay, to continue on with gap closing, the following are measures and indicators that were part of the overall calculation for the particular gap closing part of the report card. And the measures are ELA achievement. Possible points were 9, we earned 1. Math achievement, met annual goal, individual student group level, possible points were 9 and we earned 0. For the ELA growth, the detail for that is to meet or met annual goal, individual student group level. There were 9 possible points in this category and we met 4. For math growth, there were 9 possible points in this category and we met 1 or earned 1. For graduation, there were 8 possible points for this indicator and we earned 6 points. For English learners, there were 5 possible points for this indicator and we met 0 indicators or points for this indicator. For chronic absenteeism, there were 5 possible points for the district and we met 5 or earned 5 points in that particular indicator. For gifted performance indicator, which kind of encompasses 3 different measures or details. For gifted progress, there were 5 points possible and we did earn 5 as a district. For gifted performance index, there were 5 possible points and we did not earn any points for that particular indicator. For gifted identification and services, which means that we are identifying our students appropriately and we're providing services, there were 5 possible points in this particular indicator measure and we met 5. So the total points that we earned as a district out of 69 was 27, was our final points. So gap closing uses performance index also. So we saw it in achievement, but we also see it here in gap closing. And so what the state seeks to do is take the performance index and they set performance index goals by subgroup. And so now they're looking at how do we fall as opposed to where our students scored in performance index by subgroup. And so if we look at our performance index for all students, which is actually purple, for purple, which was all students, we actually had a performance index of 65.0. These are all students taking all tests. The state says that this red dot is where we are expected to be. That's our expected growth in order to close the gap. And so that red dot represents 83.33% of a performance index. And so this is a gap closing. This is where we are at 65.0 versus where we're supposed to be at 83.33. Similarly for our EL students are second from the bottom at 60.4. You can see that distance from the bar graph to the dot is very short. And so our gap is, we earned a performance index of 60.4 is where our EL students scored as a subgroup. Where the state says they should be, or the gap, is 66.54. So we have a very small gap between where our EL students are performing versus where our state says that they should be. Our African American students, which are right above them, this is a good thing because our graph is actually covering the dot, which means that we slightly exceeded the performance index. So our black students scored a 62.9% performance index, and the state says that they should have a 59.55. So that is a plus, a positive, that our students are outperforming on the performance index by subgroup where the state says that they should be performing. And these were all for English language arts. Here on this side, the opposite side, our performance index by subgroup for math. So same subgroup, so if you look at all students, which is the purple, again, for this bar. All students had a performance index at 53.7%. The state says our students should be performing or have received a performance index at 77.54%. So we have a larger difference here between where our bar graph stops and where our dot is located. Our EL students are right above here. They are performing at a 54.5% performance index, and the state says that they should be at 61.5. So the distance between our bar graph and our dot is very short, which means we are very close to meeting that expectation. And again, our black students, this orangey or red, the dot is at the very end, which means again, our black students are performing according to the state's expectations for growth. So we scored a 49.7% performance index. The state says that they should be at 49.97% as a performance index as a subgroup. Sorry. So as Dr. Martin stated, our gifted performance indicator is made up of 3 components. We have gifted ID and service, which we met. We have gifted progress, which we also met, and then we have gifted performance index. So the gifted performance index is just like the slide that we saw before. It's how did our gifted students perform on all the tests that they took. And so our gifted performance index was 106.335, and the maximum is 121.111. So when we divide 106.335 by 121.111, that total is an 87.8%. The state says that in order for us to meet the gifted performance index percentage goal, it needs to be 97.5%. So what does that mean for us? What do we need to score on our gifted performance index in order to meet that goal? Well, it means that the 106.335 would have needed to be 118.0725 points. So that's the difference between how our gifted actually performed and how they would have needed to perform. And what that essentially means is that more of our gifted students would have needed to score accomplished or advanced. In other words, they would have needed to score higher to get higher rates.
Okay, now the next component is early literacy. This is the component that actually had 3 different measures. When we look at proficiency in 3rd grade reading, promotion to 4th grade, and improving K-3 literacy. And what the points that we actually received was 53.7% proficient for this particular component of the report card. Now, we did have, for proficiency in 3rd grade reading, we had 33.5% of our students that were proficient for 3rd grade reading. The number for promotion to 4th grade is 98.4%. We did have opportunities for the students to actually gain a passage score through summer session this past summer, and I do believe there was 11 total, and I don't want to misspeak on that were able to gain that proficient score, and we were able to actually make sure that the promotion of 4th grade EMIS information was submitted, correctly for that particular amount of students. Improving K-3 literacy, was 23.5%. And what we have to also look at is when we think of these measures for this component of the report card, it's not necessarily just the year of the report card. It's a combination of years. So if you look at the next slide, when we look at the proficiency in third grade reading, the measure is the percent of third graders that score proficient on the reading segment of the ELA test. Students have earned reading subscore of 50 or higher to earn credit for this measure. Now, for the promotion, the fourth grade measure is the percentage of students who were promoted to fourth grade. Not necessarily the students that were placed there. Because with the new law, there is an ability for parents to choose to place their students in fourth grade even if they haven't met that proficient score. Even if they're placed in fourth grade, the supports are still provided. We're still tracking the data. We're still providing interventions as well. So it's not a bad thing. It's just we have to be ready to respond to the needs of the students as fourth grade students, regardless how they get there. We have to be ready to do that. So the Improving K-3 Literacy Measure evaluates improvement that occurs during kindergarten, first, second, and third grade. It looks at whether students were previously on track or now on track on reading at grade level. It also uses the fall reading diagnostic taken in the fall of 2022 and the fall of 2023, as well as the results from the 23-24 school year state ELA test. So we're going from diagnostic to diagnostic, from first to second, or kindergarten to first, and then first to second diagnostic, second to third diagnostic, and then comparing it to that ELA test that the state gives. So it's a diagnostic test, and then there's the state test. So our next component is our graduation rate. So this graduation rate is actually reported a year in arrears. So this is not reflecting the prior year, which is 23-24. This is actually reflecting the 22-23 year. And the graduation rate is much like other components. It is a calculation as well. And so it is weighted. You have a 4-year graduation rate. So the time a student comes in as a 9th grader and they graduate in 4 years, we look at that graduation rate. And then we also have a 5-year graduation rate. And so we're looking at the 4-year graduation rate of the 22-23 school year, which is a 90.4%. It has a weight of 60% because students are graduating on time in 4 years. And then we look at the 5-year graduation rate, which is 91.0. And that weight, because they are not technically graduating on time, but yes, they're graduating, so we give credit for them, it has a lesser weight of 40%. And so we take those calculations based on those weights. The 4-year graduation rate has a weighted percentage of 54.2. The 5-year graduation rate has a weighted percentage of 36.4. And we add them together to get the total weighted graduation rate of 90.6. It is the 90.6 that earns us the 3 stars, which for this year is the first year that we've earned 3 stars. Last year it was 2 stars. So we have improved in this component by 1 star. The next slide, you can see the trend data as a graph. There were several years
where we were at 89.1, 89.0, 89.4, and now we are beginning to see the upward trend. We're starting to move. What they don't report is last year. We do see it unofficially, and I can say that we are going to continue to move ahead and move forward. And our last component, college career, workforce, and military readiness, is not counted. So each one of these components has weights built in as components, and then they are also weighted collectively to become our overall rating. But this is not rated right now, and it doesn't count for or against us. However, it is reported as it was last year. So what it tells us is that we had 99 students in our four-year graduation cohort, again from the 22-23 school year, not last year because it's reported in arrears. And that number of students in that cohort total was 311. And so when we divide 99 by 311, we get 31.8%. And so what does that mean exactly? So if you will advance the slide, this is what you see, the percents of our students who actually fall in these reported categories that fall in the college career, workforce, and military readiness. And so we had 18%, and I apologize, I didn't have the numbers here, but the honors diploma bar graph represents 18% of our students receive honors diplomas, 11.6% receive industry recognized credentials, 8.0% receive a dual enrollment credit, and that is CCP, if you will, College Credit Plus. ACT or SAT remediation score, 4.5% of our students received credit for being in that category. 1.9% of our students completed a pre-apprenticeship. 14.1% completed a CTE technical assessment with a score of proficient or better. And 2.9% of our students in that cohort completed Ohio Means Jobs Readiness Seal plus 250 hours of work-based learning.
Those last numbers that you listed, they would go under industry recognized credentials? Those last numbers?
So, yes.
Okay.
And I can give those to Mr. Denny.
Okay.
I wasn't
Yeah, we can
thinking
share
at the
those.
time.
Nice. Okay. That's good.
Okay, so what you see in front of you is the overview for all the buildings in the district to kind of identify the star level or the star rating that they receive, as well as the overall star for the particular categories or components within the report card. So Winton City Schools received a 2.5, which is a 0.5 increase from last year to this year. And these are the same numbers that I went over in the beginning, where we got a 2 in achievement, a 2 in gap closing, a 2 in progress, a 3 in graduation, and a 1 in early literacy. If we look at the ECC campus, that's a 1-star overall. Last year, that was a 4-star. Chronic absenteeism was definitely one of the pieces as to why we did not get the star rating aligned to what we received last year. We worked to decrease or reduce our absenteeism by 1.1% or 3% over the scope of a year. We did not do that. Last year, I do believe that it was like 13.8%. So we did get those points, or I say percent, it's more so points. This year, we went up 0.1% or 0.1. So we weren't able to get the credit. Last year, we received 5 points For chronic absenteeism for that particular building, this year we did not receive that. Yes, there is a plan moving forward as it relates to how we're going to address chronic absenteeism and how we're going to kind of make sure our littles come to school. So I'm working with Mr. Bauer to establish various pieces and entities of how we move forward to make sure that we don't let them hit the threshold. We do have systems in place within the scope of our attendance, but we also know that we need to intervene before they get to the threshold. So there has been conversation around trying to figure out how to create a dashboard or a system similar to early warnings systems that is at the South Campus and the North Campus, but specifically for the ECC campus, so we can hit that. So there's some intentionality that's happening within the scope of administration to make sure that this is not the story that we tell next year. We also received the one in gap closing for ECC campus, and that's along the same lines. The chronic absenteeism kind of hit us in that category. We know what it is, so we know what we need to work on. We know that if we have a system in place, a way to move forward, a way to address what happened, then we cannot necessarily be here again next year. For primary, we received a 2-star, and last year it was a 3-star, so that did go down too. We got a 3 in our gap closing, 1 in early literacy. That 1 in early literacy will hit K3 as well. So that's why you see that with early literacy, it's focused on the scope of those grade bands, which is K3. So elementary is a 3.5-star. Last year it was a 3, so that was an increase of 0.5. That's celebratory. We're excited about that, but we can't stop working. We gotta wow ourselves every day, which is working on the work. Achievement is a 2. They kept their 5-star progress. A 4-star for gap closing, and again, that early literacy is connected to the ECC first and second grade with the chronic absenteeism. And our intermediate school is a 2.5-star, and last year it was a 2, so it's celebratory. We got a 0.5 increase there, and our achievement is a 2, progress is a 2, gap closing is a 4, which I do believe is an increase there too. And I'll turn it over to Dr. Ragland for the last 2 schools.
So middle school had overall 2 stars. That is a decrease from last year. Last year they had 2.5, so they went down by 0.5 star. Their achievement was reported as 1 star this year, and that's where their decrease happened largely, was from last year to this year. Last year they were at 2 stars for achievement, this year 1 star. Progress was 2 stars. Gap closing was a 3 last year, it's a 2 this year. So we know we have some work at the middle school, and we are working to emulate some of the structures that we have at the high school in regard to early warning, and I'll get to that in just a second after I report the high school. The high school had an overall rating of 3 stars. That is a decrease from last year. It was 3.5 stars. Achievement remained the same at 2 stars. Progress, the same at 4 stars. Gap closing, the same as last year at 3 stars. And graduation was an increase. Last year it was 2 stars. It increased to 3 stars. And so you may be wondering, well, how did they maintain everything but increase graduation and have overall 3 stars instead of at minimum what they had last year, which was 3.5. So that is the thing that I need to figure out. But what we know mathematically is that all of these components have a weight, and they're not all weighted the same.
So achievement and progress are weighted at 29% approximately. It's actually 28.6 something, but it's about 29% each. Progress, gap closing, graduation are all weighted at about approximately 14% each. And so we can't look at the numbers of stars, we have to dig into the numbers. What gave us the points for each individual rating and go from there. And so that's something that I do plan to dig into to see the difference. What made the difference when we increased 1 star in graduation and we come down overall in half a star rating. But the high school has the early warning system. We started that work last year with Each Child on Track, and we have a data dashboard that was created so that we can identify students who are struggling with attendance and behavior and discipline, or thank you, graduation. And that's what it was designed to do, was to keep students on track for graduation, as well as increase the number of special ed students who are graduating with a traditional diploma rather than being exempt. And so we do see improvements there because our graduation rate can also be broken down by subgroup, and all of our subgroups have increased, including our SPED, our Hispanic, our EL, and so the high school managed to work their way out of school improvement in that way, and they are on a trajectory, and so this lack of a half of a star is truly baffling to us. But the graduation increase in star is truly celebratory because it shows that the hard work is paying off. And this year we have greater structure around the high school in terms of the use of Warrior Bell and intervention, something that traditionally happens in elementary anyway. And high school, due to the structure of a master schedule, doesn't lend itself well to Title I and intervention periods, but they've done that work and they have committees, and it's just very well thought out and very intentional. And so we're looking to bring some of that structure to the middle school as well, and that was the intention anyway, was for the early warning system to be replicated at that level, and so they have their data dashboard, and that's the idea, to have a tool to be able to bring siloed information from different platforms together so that they can now combine and quickly identify students who are struggling and filter out, by subgroup if they need to. So we can do that, and we have lots and lots planned for both high school and middle school moving forward in terms of how we're going to, as Dr. Martin said, work on the work.
Are there any questions?
I have a comment first. First of all, thank you, Dr. Martin. Thank you, Dr. Ragland, for this very comprehensive report card presentation. I can tell you when I saw the report card, it's like a gut punch because I know the good work that's happening. And you look at the report card and all the public sees are the numbers and the stars and go, that's good, that's bad. And I'm like, but there's more to the story. So thank you for telling us this story. And we've got work to do. But it isn't just only us, right? It's not just the hard work that our teachers and our paraprofessionals and everyone that shows up every day to do this work with students, but it's also the parents. So when you look at early literacy, one of the things I'm excited about is we have a new library in Forest Park. Take your kids to the library, please. Teach them, give them the love of reading. I love books. Like, there's a whole world out there. And if we can get them reading and enthusiastic early, get them coming to kindergarten. That's their job. Their job is to come to school every day, starting at grade K and preschool. And so we can build on those foundations because I feel like we're playing catch up. You get them to the point you got to hurry up and catch up, and then so we want that work. But thank you guys. This was a lot. I know we have a lot of probably questions and things that we may want to break down in maybe a work session to kind of dig into the data a little bit more. But thank you guys for this.
Thank you.
It's a lot. I was like, ooh, Lord. Okay.
Yeah, and there are some bright spots.
There are.
And I appreciate that. I do appreciate you saying, that there definitely is an opportunity for us to work together. to be collaborative, to
Mhm.
not even think that no one's not doing. Everyone is working exceptionally hard
Absolutely.
on trying to get this to look a little bit different. And if we look at some of the trends, I can't say like improving K3 literacy, although it's not where we need it to be, it is spiraling up. It's the highest. It's been 66% for this past year, and the last time it was 66% was in 2019. So it's definitely, we're trying, and we will continue to work hard and be intentional with trying to frame everything and be transparent in what it is, how it is, that it is. The next step of what we're gonna do, so, the public can, see what's going on with the report card, we are going to put it on on our website. So that you just click one button and you can see this school, this school, this school, the whole district. We're gonna link it to ODE, or ODU, but so that we're not hiding anything. We're continuing to try to figure out how can we make this look different? What else can we do? We have a one plan. That one plan will kind of identify what our next steps are, and that one plan is not just goals that we just want to work on because we picked them. We did a needs assessment. The buildings did a needs assessment. So in those needs assessment, it exports what the necessary next steps for the district are. So those will help us kind of frame our way forward and give context around why we're doing what we're doing, around instruction, around math, around literacy, around graduation. I mean, it's all intentional. We're trying to make sure that the district story is a different story when we stand up here next year.
I know I have tons of comments.
Well, I have tons of questions, but I think that in interest of time tonight, I think that if we can invite you back to a work session, and then we can like kind of drill down some of these things that we might have, like deeper thoughts on maybe what can be done. Or
Absolutely.
How to do different.
And we would have had this
Yes.
prepared for your prior work session, but the
It
report
just came
card
out, yeah.
itself was.
Yes,
It's a
right.
timing issue.
It is. And I just appreciate the transparency. I think there's always a segment of the population that thinks people are hiding. No one's hiding. The facts are the facts. The data is the data. Tell the story, right? But it isn't just the school. We need the families. We need all of you out there watching, grandparents, aunts, uncles, the community members. We need you to be engaged in this work with us.
Absolutely.
We need you to help us help the next generation be the best it can be. We do this work because we love our community. We love the students which are in our communities, and we want them to be the best. We know that this school district is not just a 2.5-star district.
Right.
But something like
yeah.
chronic absenteeism in
I got
kindergarten
stories.
or pre-K, that's not the kid. That's
That's
not
not
the
the
kid.
kid.
But,
Exactly.
maybe it is. I don't want to get out of bed this morning, but you have to encourage them
Yeah.
to get out of bed in the morning.
Yes.
But it's not like the high schoolers maybe trying to skip out of,
Right.
of a bell or whatever, not showing up. But anyway, I appreciate this work.
I
This
really
is,
do.
This was good.
Very
Good
good.
stuff.
Thank you,
so
Liz.
much.
Thank you both.
I think it would be extremely good to go into detail, like you said, in a work session.
Yes,
Because
yes.
So board, we can do that. We can
Yeah.
discuss it.
Yeah.
It's October 14th at 6:30 PM at the community building. That's our next work
Okay.
session. So we can
Okay.
add this as an agenda item.
Absolutely.
And we can also, at that point, we should be able to have the one plan presentation ready, because
Perfect.
the thinking was, let's talk about where we are. Good, bad, and different. This is where we are. What's the plan to improve? Because that's what it's all about.
Absolutely.
Otherwise, it's just data sitting on a screen somewhere.
Absolutely.
So how are we going to improve outcomes for our kids and our community and our schools? So that can then also, we can layer that in next time too, and you can see the preview of that presentation for the October 28th board meeting.
That'd be
That was
great.
the plan, so.
Yeah, I would just
Appreciate
recommend if that's not ready, we should hold off, because I think that plan will probably answer a lot of our questions.
Very true. Very true. We don't want you to have to duplicate the work. And again, I love the fact that it's going to be on the website, because people, you see all these posts, social media, people want to post things, and go to our website. So we're going to put more data there. We're listening. We do hear you. We want you to know that we're concerned about the things that you're concerned about. And I invite people to just come and listen and hear this up close and personal. This was very well done, and really appreciate the time and effort that it took to put this together.
When people get their child's report card, they go, there's some good and bad, and it's like, okay, what can we do?
Mm-hmm.
And when the community sees this, it's like, okay, I'm going to meet with the teacher, and I want to find out what I can do. If this was my child's report card, and I'm going to meet with the principal, and my husband and wife are going to sit down and talk, and we're going to have a sit-down talk with our child. And I just think we need to do that from approach of just our report card. Yeah, what do we do?
Absolutely.
And this is based on one test one day, but it's that way for every district in the state.
Mm-hmm.
It's not like
Right.
it's, so the question is, how do we help our kids show
Right.
what they know
Absolutely.
more so? How do we put us on that trajectory?
Right.
And,
And that's the one thing we have to realize. This is the same, everybody has the same data
Yes.
across the state,
Right.
and we're compared to everybody
correct.
we're compared to everybody in the state, and everybody's comparing us to everybody in the state.
Absolutely.
And we're keenly aware of that, and honestly, we see the growth as a point of pride, but we see the gap to close as a challenge that we need to meet. So
Absolutely.
those are things that are always on our mind. So, Dr. Martin, Dr. Ragland, thank you so much for your
Thank
time.
you.
Thank you.
Yeah.
Appreciate it. I know. Next item on the agenda is 9.03, facilities update.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. For this report, this would be presented by Mr. Jeremy Day, Executive Director of Business Affairs.
Good evening, board.
Good evening.
We're doing well tonight. This is in two parts. So a facility update for our early childhood central campus. The kitchen is open, ready to go. So that's been nice. It was a nice update that happened. That was kind of slow going. There was some issues that we had to work through that they've been worked through. Passed inspection, so they're eating in the kitchen now and making food, which is nice, which is good. The other part is about our Beechwood Elementary and our Primary North over on Genefield and Green Hills. So a little later this evening, you'll be presented with the bid tabulations and letter of recommendation for the demolition of Primary North Beechwood Elementary. If you were in favor of this recommendation a little bit later on, we would like to proceed with having the farewell tours of Primary North and Beechwood Elementary. We are planning on having those on Tuesday, September 24th and Thursday, September 26th. That's 5 to 6:30 in the evening. This is the time set aside for the community. That was a beloved building of the district for almost 70 years. There's a lot of history there, a lot of history for staff, a lot of history for community. You wouldn't believe the amount of calls we've had about these bricks. There's bricks that were kind of personalized, and we had a little bit of a scare, but we got it figured out. There was actually a really nice community member doing a good deed for us. He's actually moved the bricks to the front of the building, so for easy access. But it was kind of a scare at first, he was being nice without letting us know. So I was scared, but we got it figured out, and it was fine. Great guy, glad he did it. We also got online auction slated to start, going live on Tuesday, September 24th, running through October 2nd. The auction pickup day would be on Friday, October 4th. So if there's any questions or concerns on time frame or thoughts?
What were the dates again? What were the dates of the auction?
For the auction, opening up tomorrow, September 24th, running through October 2nd would be the end of the auction. The auction pickup would be October 24th.
Thank you.
Any questions? Thank you so much, Mr. Day.
All right. Yep, thank you, Mr. Day.
Thank you.
All right, next item on the agenda is 10.01, superintendent recommendations. Superintendent Denny, you have the floor.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. So 10.01 is the recommended approval of a settlement agreement, and it would just be to approve the settlement agreement as presented.
I move we approve the settlement agreement as presented.
I'll second.
It's been approved and seconded. Any questions? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, we call for the vote.
Dr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mrs. Knighton,
Aye.
Mr. Spielman,
Aye.
Ms. Bryant.
Aye, that vote passes unanimously. Next item on the agenda is 10.03, personnel schedules.
Thank you again, Ms. Bryant. So 10.02 exempt salary schedule.
I'm sorry, 02, I'm sorry, I skipped right over it.
And I apologize.
Who
I
day
just
in my
went
brain?
right back
Who
to it.
day? Sorry about that.
No worries. Thank you so much.
Refocus.
Yeah, just 10.02 would be to approve the exempt salary schedule, which would, of course, be retroactive back to July 1 of this particular school year or fiscal year. And it would be to approve it as presented, board.
Board, a motion is in order.
I'll make a motion to approve the exempt salary schedule effective July 1, 2024 as presented.
I'll second that.
It's been motioned and second. Any questions or items for discussion?
Okay, there's just the one addition to that, to the new schedule, correct?
Reclassification of one employee type to align it.
Okay.
Any other questions? Thank you, Mr. Spooner. Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, we call for the vote.
Dr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mrs. Knighton,
Aye.
Mr. Spielman,
Aye.
Ms. Bryant.
Aye. That vote passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda now is 10.03, personnel schedules.
Yeah, thank you, Ms. Bryant. 10.03 personnel schedules, board, the recommended action would be to approve the personnel schedules as presented.
Okay, all right, the motion is in order.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the personnel schedules as presented.
I'll second that.
It's been motioned and second. Any questions? Going once? Going twice? All right, seeing none, Mr. Seymour, we call for a vote.
Dr. Johnson,
Aye.
Mrs. Knighton,
Aye.
Mr. Spielman,
Aye.
Ms. Bryant.
Aye, that vote passes unanimously. All right, so please, continue, 10.04.
Yeah, thank you again, Ms. Bryant. 10.04 is a resolution. It is a happy celebratory resolution. The month of October is Principals Month. It's National Principals Month. So we have a resolution to recognize our principals in the district, our assistant principals, those that fill this very important role for our students, our staff, our community, our business partners. They do a variety of roles. I recall seeing that the average principal on an average day makes over 300 decisions. So that's approximately a decision every 84 seconds. And those decisions impact the lives and academic realities of kids and teachers. And it's just a really important job. So we've got several recovering administrators in this room, principals in this room. We're all recovering administrators in this room. But we have several recovering principals. And so we especially want to make sure we shout out to them what a great job they do. So that's 10.04 is a resolution to recognize National Principals Month.
Madam President, I'd like to make a motion to approve the resolution for National Principals Month for October 2024 as presented.
I'll second it.
It's been motion and second, Dr. Johnson.
And I
Would you
will be
read the
happy
resolution?
to read the resolution,
Thank you.
as we do appreciate our principals and our educators. Proclamation, National Principals Month, October 2024. Whereas each year the month of October is designated National Principals Month in recognition of principals, assistant principals, and other school administrators for their steadfast commitment to ensuring that every child receives a quality education, and whereas principals and assistant principals are responsible for the day-to-day operation of their school, which includes leading the instructional program, acting as disciplinarians, managing educational initiatives, and building relationships with students, teachers, parents, community partners, and others to achieve excellence. And whereas principals and assistant principals work diligently to establish a positive tone for their school and provide a supportive and safe school environment where students learn, grow, and thrive. And whereas we are very proud of our principals and assistant principals and sincerely appreciate their ongoing efforts to inspire success and a lifetime of learning in Winton Woods City Schools, and also to promote the importance and value of public school education in this community. Now therefore be it resolved that the Winton Woods City School District is pleased to join other boards of education across the United States in proclaiming October 2024 as National Principals Month, and encourages the citizens of Winton Woods City School District to join in the celebration of National Principals Month by thanking all school administrators for the care and concern they show for our children, adopted this 23rd day of September 2024.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. All right, so it's been motion second, resolution read. Mr. Seymour, will you call for the vote?
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Knighton?
Aye.
Mr. Spielman?
Aye.
Ms. Bryant?
Aye, that vote passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda is 10.05. Superintendent Denny.
Thank you, President Bryant. So 10.05 is a resolution concerning National School Bus Safety Week, October 21st through 25th, so coming up the month of October. This is another very important resolution. The first person many of our students see every day, and the last school employee many of our students see every day, is a bus driver. And we're blessed and fortunate to have 32 bus drivers right now, 28 full-times and 4 subs to help cover the needs of our district and provide that valuable transportation. So we just recommend to the board that that you kindly consider and approve the resolution for National School Bus Safety Week, October 21 through 25 as presented.
Board, I'll make a motion to approve the resolution for National School Bus Safety Week, October 21 through 25, 2024, as presented.
I'll second that.
The motion is second.
Sure, I'd be happy to. Proclamation for National School Bus Safety Week, October 21st through the 25th of 2024. Whereas the Winton Woods City School District Board of Education recognizes the critical and important role that bus drivers are entrusted with on a daily basis, and whereas the Winton Woods City School District Board of Education commends the dedication of these drivers who provide safe transportation for the students and staff of our district, and whereas bus drivers demonstrate a positive role model to reinforce the importance of education and support for family, schools, and community, and whereas the Winton Woods City School District Board of Education, as a stakeholder in the educational development of these children, expresses its appreciation and support for the drivers and staff of the Winton Woods Transportation Department. Now therefore be it resolved that the Winton Woods City School District Board of Education proclaims the week of October 21st through the 25th of 2024 to be a week of sincere appreciation for the important role of the staff of the Transportation Department of our school district.
Thank you, Ms. Knighton. Mr. Seymour, will call for the vote.
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Knighton?
Aye.
Mr. Spielman?
Aye.
Ms. Bryant?
Aye, that vote passes unanimously. And again, thank you for the bus drivers. I see them at Wave.
I did too.
Yeah. And, other districts are having issues with transportation. We have been there. I'm just thankful for those who show up and get our students from point A to point B and do it with joy. So thank you.
Yes.
All right, next item on the agenda is 10.06.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. Just a quick public service announcement. Borough to Chase 7-0 Bengals. Just got a quick text
Okay, I'm
message.
sorry.
I apologize, it's not on the agenda.
No. Thank you very much, Michael Martinez. No.
10.06 is approval of bids for demolition of Primary North Beechwoods Elementary School. Board, you should have before you the demo bid tabulation, and you should also have before you the letter of recommendation. And then Mr. Jeremy Day is going to be ready to answer any questions you might have or provide any additional information. But the recommended action would be to approve the bids for demolition of Primary North / Beechwoods Elementary School as presented.
I'll make a motion to approve the bids for demolition of Primary North Beechwoods Elementary as presented.
I'll second it.
The motion been seconded. Discussion, questions?
There were a few questions that came out of your work session,
Correct.
Which I can address.
Yes,
now.
please.
Thank you, Mr. Day.
First one was whether SHB had worked with Salesforce Construction Company before. The answer is yes, they have.
Okay.
They've been on their projects in the past as both site preparation contractors and demolition contractors before. Their most recent experience with them was on Bethany House, where they successfully completed both of those scopes for that job. Second question was what company was doing the abatement work. They plan to use Environmental Demolition Group for the abatement piece. And we wanted to have a verification of the allowance numbers due to their bid being so much lower than the next company. There were no allowances included in their bid. All scopes of the work were included in their bid price.
Oh, wow.
Perfect.
Thank you so
Makes
much
it
for
even
following
more
up on that.
appetizing.
Yes, I'm like, okay. Great, thank you so
Thank
much.
you for that information. That's good news.
Yes,
That
it
is
is.
Because it's a really competitive bid to begin with.
It really is.
Yeah, and with no allowances.
And I'd also point out that 49 cents of every dollar of the demolition cost is actually still paid by the state of Ohio because it's still part of our facility master plan process.
Do we pay that and then they reimburse us, or do they just pay it directly?
No, as Mr. Seymour pointed
We
out,
already have those funds.
those funds are in receipt in our district and earning interest, which is part of the state's concept design. So yeah, it's already here.
Perfect, thank you. Any other items for discussion?
No, thank you for getting answers to the questions.
Yes, appreciate that. Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, we call for the vote.
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Knighton?
Aye.
Mr. Spielman?
Aye.
Ms. Bryant?
Aye, the vote passes unanimously. Next item?
When there's a start date, can we let the people in the community know?
Oh, yes.
Absolutely, yeah, and we should. It's gonna be quite the noise and all that, yeah, we definitely should. I'm also reaching out to other community partners, as far as the building, using for training, facilities, things like that. Whenever we have a situation like this, the police department like to train the fire department students, so I'm working with them right now, on dates for that. Some of this is kind of dependent on when the contractor is going to begin, which we'll start contacting them and we'll get those balls rolling.
Yeah, as soon as we know a date, tentative date, let people know, so.
One of the things we can do, we've done in the past, is the commencement date, I believe, is the notice to commence, is October 11th. We can do a flyer drop, a literature drop on surrounding residents, just as an informational flyer to let them know that it's about to begin. And we can do that a week in advance or so, so that at least there's an outreach on our part to our community members.
Perfect.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thanks, Mr. Day.
Superintendent Denny. Next item is 10.07, facility use rates for 2024-2025.
Thank you, Ms. Bryant. This 10.07 is facility use rates for 24-25. The recommended action would be to approve these facility use rates for outside use for folks that are interested in using our buildings, our facilities. But the recommended action would be to approve those as presented. And board, just as a brief aside, we've updated the payment rate to security, our own security monitors. That's the reason, one of the reasons for the update. And that's just to make sure that any outside event that the district hosts or that someone requests use, that we have adequate levels of either law enforcement or school security or both to ensure the best environment.
Thank you.
I'd like to move we approve the facility use rates for 2024-2025 as presented.
I'll second that.
It's been motioned and second. Any questions or items for discussion? Seeing none, Mr. Seymour, we call for the vote.
Dr. Johnson?
Aye.
Mrs. Knighton?
Aye.
Mr. Spielman?
Aye.
Ms. Bryant?
Aye, that vote passes unanimously. The next item on the agenda is Board of Education reports, 11.01 legislative reports. Dr. Johnson, you have the floor.
Thank you, Madam President. The full legislative report is in board docs is 32 pages long, and it's been uploaded, and here are the highlights that I thought we might be interested in. House Bill 267, which talks about board members to provide a primary election for the state and school district boards of education members to move to the election of the state and school district board of education to a nonpartisan ballot. This legislation will require candidates running for state and local boards of education to declare a political affiliation. By declaring a party, candidates would participate in primaries instead of being listed on a nonpartisan ballot. And that just went to the House September the 26th. So there's more to come. It has been given government oversight, but it does await a committee assignment at this point. The next three House bills involve legislation regarding charter or non-public schools. We kind of talked a little bit about them today. But House Bill 581, House Bill 591, and 592. 581, it talks about to enact the Charter School Oversight Act. And this action will require the Department of Education and Workforce to develop a system to compare the performance data of students in each community school to those in the local school districts where the community school is located, or for online community schools and statewide averages. It's been stated that many of the charter schools don't have to undergo the same testing, so there's no, comparison of data in that way. House Bill 591 is with respect to the report cards, and we just had a wonderful presentation of our report cards to enact the charter school sponsor and Operator Rating Act regarding report cards for the community school sponsors and operators. And that's kind of been ongoing. That is, that does have a committee, and it's been ongoing since May, so that it's still on the table, not decided. House Bill 592 also talks about report cards, but it talks about the School Rating Enhancement Act, and that is to establish a report card for the charter and non-public schools that are enrolled in, especially the ones that are enrolled in the state scholarship students, and to establish the state report card review committee in the same way it does for local and public schools, how they're reviewed. So those three are on the table. There's something that we probably are interested in, just to kind of do, a comparison that has integrity.
Absolutely.
With what the private or charter schools claim. The next House bill that I thought was interesting was 567, and that one just came down at the end of August. And it was House Bill 657, I'm sorry. It's regarding the Pledge of Allegiance, and it's to enact the transparency in the Pledge of Allegiance, or the TIPA Act, to require each school district to post or prominently display its Pledge of Allegiance policy. We have it, we have our Pledge of Allegiance, but we don't necessarily have a policy. So that just was introduced to the House August of 2024, so there's more to come on that one. The next two items that I thought were of interest were the Senate bills. Senate Bill 208, which is open enrollment, to require a city, exempted village, or local school district to include its open enrollment policy and make an exception for military children. And I believe our school district already does that, but it's just of interest that there are some school districts that are not. I didn't know that there were any that were not, so I thought it was interesting to bring light to that we are already doing that. And finally, a new bill was introduced amid all of the recent threats in to the school districts and communities. It's in the Senate. It's Senate Bill 313, to require school districts to implement a wearable panic alert system. This system would be integrated with the local public safety, answering the 911 calls, as well as interconnected internally with the school district's buildings. These devices will be worn by all staff, and annual training would be required on the use of the system. This bill was recently introduced, as recent as September the 10th, and the bill has not yet been assigned to a committee. But it is worth noting and maybe worth considering but again, they always come up with these things, and then if they don't give us money to fund them, we have to figure out how to fund them. But that ends the legislative update for September 2024.
Thank you, Dr. Johnson. Great information as always. Everyone, the next item on the agenda is 11.02, Great Oaks Career Technical Report. That report has been uploaded to Board Docs. Did anyone have any questions or comments?
I just want to say again, thank you to Mr. Bird. I just think he does an amazing job.
He really does.
The one thing I did note is that across the Great Oaks, which is Laurel Oaks, Scarlet, Diamond, they've had an increase in enrollment since 2019. I think it was like 25%. So that's nice to see that students are taking advantage of the opportunities that are located in our school districts combined. So keep up the great work. Thank you. All right. Moving on to agenda item 12.01, board motions and recommendations. Seeing none, we'll move on. Next on the agenda, 13.01, comments from the board and superintendent and treasurer. Who would like to start? Randy.
I know he never says anything. I'll just say thank you all. Again, thank you to Dr. Martin, Dr. Regman. That was a great report. I look forward to digging in more and just see, how we can help as a board. So it's always an honor to serve with this district, and I'll pass the mic.
All right.
Yeah, well, me next?
Yes, you're
Okay,
next.
we got a little sheet. We got a little sheet. There's not much. Again, like, Ms. Knighton said, thank you to our stakeholders who are working to make the district a better place. The positive contributions to our students. There are way too many to name, but this board does appreciate you. I especially enjoyed listening to all of the comments for the young lady, the high schooler, Karen, who's at Miami, and I've been at a college for 34 years, so I know how hard it is to get tutors, and then she's 17 tutoring, high school, college students, so that is just way impressive, and she's got a bright future ahead, I'm sure, and even that she's an entrepreneur, but anyway. Also, our list that we got today of upcoming activities highlighted that it's football, volleyball, and soccer season. So watch your calendars, come out and support our teams, wear your sea of blue and green. I'm also always about the blue and green in the stands because we want to show our warrior spirit and our warrior pride. And we had the homecoming parade on Friday. It was so exciting. These two walked in the parade. Okay, I love it. I mean, I'm like, no, I'm in the car. But it was fun. Fun was had by all, I'm sure. It was an exciting football game against Walnut Hills. And it was very well attended because if you came, there was like double park, triple park. It was parking everywhere. All over the place. So it was very well attended, and all of our kids were safe, and that's always a big deal to say nowadays with schools having to cancel football games or sporting events, it's important to say. Again, on the sheet that for the updates for the events, Mr. Denny had listed all of the events that are coming up, but being an academic, I always highlight then the PSAT and the ACT, that report cards already had came out. Upcoming in October, we'll go into, the midterm or the middle of the year and for school reports. So, we have to remain vigilant. We have to, as Mrs. Bryan said earlier, parents have to make sure that they're doing their homework. It's just not a first of the school year thing, it's all year thing. And we need you to help us, to help them. We can only do so much, and the teachers can only do so much. The principals can only do so much. For those students who are on the verge of going to college, there's some preps out there for the PSAT and the ACT, so take advantage of those. And I know that students will rise to the occasion of the standards that you set. And in order to set those standards, we have to kind of, set them, and don't just set it and forget it, set it and go back and be reminded that this is the standard. Keeping in that same thought, I just want to make one comment that goals are dreams with deadlines, and then those dreams can become goals once they're accomplished. High expectations begin with high standards, and we want and expect all of our warriors to be well accomplished in the area of interest, and we are Warrior Nation, so go Warriors.
Thank you. I love it. Goals or dreams with deadlines.
Yes, dreams with deadlines.
I walked in my first parade
Yes,
last Friday. I ran out of candy. I had no idea how many kids would be there. But I ran out of candy right when we turned on to Central.
Yeah, that usually happens. I usually tell my kids, go out gently, because there's going to be a lot of kids right at this intersection.
I had two girls walking behind me that said, can we give out some of your candy? And so I ran out early. But it was enjoyable, and the football game was good too. I would like to congratulate again Sean Daniels, Daniel Gutierrez Linez, Kieran Cruz Aparicio, Kyle Shoup, and Skyline Teacher of the Month, Holly Backscheider. And given the kind of climate that we live in, I'd like to say something about the importance of life. When I took an oath to the board, it dealt with I had to swear an oath to the Constitution of the United States. And so I pulled it out and I looked it up. and it says, we are endowed by our Creator with certain unalienable rights. Among these are life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness. So life is important to all of us. And I'd like to stress that. Life shouldn't be taken away, threatened, or bullied. We have to value life. All of our students in our communities have to value life, encourage it, esteem it, and treasure it. And I'd just like to reinforce that to our students and communities. We all have to do our part. I know you have a policy of if you see something, say something. But among our community, we have to encourage, esteem, and treasure life.
Yes.
Thank you.
Thank you. Good. Very good. Thank you.
Thanks, Ms. Bryant. Well said, Mr. Spielman, and Dr. Johnson, and Ms. Titan. I just agree with so much of what you said. I will not reiterate, but I definitely had homecoming as a highlight. It was wonderful. The game, the parade, the attendance, the school spirit. It was just a wonderful event. I did also want to make a comment about just gratitude for our law enforcement partners. Many schools around the tri-state, the state, and the nation have dealt with things this year that have been at a frequency we've not seen. We've seen these in the past, just not at this frequency. Social media driven, especially. And our law enforcement partners have been tremendous in terms of stepping up and making themselves available at really a moment's call to ensure the safety and well-being of our students and staff and partners and community members. So a big shout out to them. The power of see something, say something is a silver lining of sorts in this, because our students and our families are taking that to heart, and we really appreciate that. We continue to encourage that. That's vital for helping ensure collective safety of everybody involved. So we really appreciate that and recognize that and are thankful for it. I wanted to be sure that on the academic front, I just pointed out, I don't know if our community is aware, and I want to make sure the board was aware as well. We do have varsity tutors as a free service for all students in the district, and that's something that's been in place for a few weeks. But it's basically an online, I think it's 24/7, correct? It's an online 24/7 chat-based tutoring assistance. So I just would make sure that our families are aware of that. I mean, there's been Parent Square communication and district push on that. But just, hopefully students are able to leverage that. Our teachers have been trained on it as well and brought up to speed. So that's another resource for teachers as well. Finally, I just want to, we're nearing the closing of the month of September. School is definitely launched. And it's been a really nice opening in many, many ways. And so I just want to give a shout out to our staff for working as hard as they do, both teaching and non-teaching staff, but also our administrators. We celebrated principals and APs tonight, but also our executive team. Appreciate them being here, putting together presentations, and just supporting the work of the district. So just a shout out to them and a thank you.
I'll bring it home and say congratulations to Sean, Daniel, Karen, Kyle, and Mrs. Schneider. Thank you to all of Wintonwood's principals and administrators for all that you do every day. Thank you to the school bus drivers, monitors, those who are crosswalk. All that you do to make sure that our students are safe. I would like to say, and this is just kind of a special shout out, so some of you probably have seen me out in the community, and I try to walk in the park, in Central Park, in the mornings between anywhere from like 7 to 8. And frequently I run across our wonderful warriors. And me being the person that I am and the mother and the grandmother that I am, I always like to speak and just say, good morning, warriors. Well, they run from me now because sometimes it is past 8 o'clock and they're supposed to be in school. So please know if you see this lady who's saying hello, warriors, and I introduce myself and they're dashing down and I'm texting Mr. Denny or calling because they are skipping school. They play a part into the numbers that you see for our district. So it takes a village, and as a member of the village, please be at school on time. Because I like to walk in peace. Love y'all. But I need you at school at 8 o'clock. So I say that to say, this is a special place. This district is special. 31 different languages. We are a community unlike any other, and I know that we're gonna get to a different story, that next year it will not be 2.5 stars, it will be 3.0, and we will dig into our data. So again, thank you all for all the work that you have done, and thank you all for showing up, and thank you for electing us so we can do this work and we can continue to improve our community. And again, thank you to Waycross Community Media for being here, for showing up, for all that you do. We couldn't do what we do without you. That's all I have.
13.01.
Yep, 13.01. Next item on the agenda is closing. We don't, 14, we don't have a need for executive session, correct? Okay, great. So 15, I now call this version September 23rd. Oh, one more thing I wanted to say. A month from today is the virtual credit check. So I know, Dr. Johnson, that's normally yours. I'm picking up. So please, please, please make sure that you know what's going on, to check those credits, because we want people to graduate when they're supposed to and that time. So that's it. 15.01. This meeting is now adjourned. Thank you. And who day? All right, I see the score. What's the score? Oh, 7-7. Okay. We still have time.